Hi, I'm Katrina Miller, and this presentation is on attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The number of students is not um, completely calculated because, according to IDEA, ADHD is put into a category with other health impairments. It's not its own category, so the exact number is unknown. The APA and the CDC also have very conflicting answers on how many students have ADHD. The CDC puts their number almost twice that of APA. So they say that anywhere between 5 to 14% of students have ADHD, with the majority being boys. ADHD over the last few years is increasing. From my research, the increase is anywhere from 11 to 43%, depending on what source you look into. Um, and there could be a lot of reasons due to the diagnosis. ADHD, we're learning more about it, so it's being talked about more. It's also a lot of the diagnosis of ADHD is done by parents. And while parents know their children very well, most parents aren't medical professionals, so they can misdiagnose ADHD. Another reason for the increasing diagnosis of ADHD is technology. Children will spend a lot more time watching TV or playing video games, and then they'll be really hyper later because they've spent so much downtime. Their children now are spending less time outside. So when they are inside and they're not playing their games or watching TV, they have a lot more energy and they're not burning off the energy in a very good way. Some of the characteristics of ADHD are hyperactivity. So they fidget, they're going to squirm in their seats and run and climb. Um, and they're going to have difficulty with leisure activities. The other side to ADHD is the impulse, where they're just going to blurt out things, they're going to interrupt other people, they're going to push them, not be able to take turns or share, and they're going to be very demanding. Some of the problems with ADHD in the classroom is that it's hard for the students to stay engaged. The students that have ADHD, it's hard for them to concentrate. They're going to want to be up and moving and interacting somehow and burning off energy physically as opposed to just doing mental work. This is also difficult for other students because they're going to be disrupting the students that don't have ADHD and that can sit calmly. And this could cause problems from the other students towards those that have ADHD by bullying or just treating them poorly. And it could also then lead to the parents getting frustrated with the kids that have ADHD and problems for the teacher then. Although that's not always what happens and that's not how every student is going to react, it is something to keep in mind. Students that have ADHD, they're going to need breaks. They're going to maybe need to do every 15 minutes, get up and do some jumping jacks, or have all the students walk a lap around the classroom, something that gets them up and moving, and just not having to sit still the whole time. ADHD is not the same for all students. Some students have more of the hyperactive, impulsive, which is the fidgeting, the squirming, not being able to sit still, and the blurting out. Other students have the inattentive, which means that they just can't focus, their mind's elsewhere, and staying on track is very difficult for them. And as I said earlier, IDEA categorizes students under the broad category of other health impairments that have ADHD. It's not a specific category, but with an increasing number that have ADHD, maybe it should be its own category now. There are a few different types of effective class-wide intervention. There are multimodal treatments, which is a range of different kinds of treatment from medical treatment to behavioral treatment and parent and child participation in the classroom. It's really kind of a broad spectrum of treatments. Under this effective class-wide intervention, there's also errorless learning, which, according to our textbook, is a procedure that represents the discriminative stimuli to the student and arranges the delivery of prompts for the student in such a way that gives only correct responses. So it's presenting what the students need to know in a way that they are learning only the correct information. Whereas if they are doing some self-taught work, they could teach themselves the incorrect way, which will then make it more difficult to actually learn what they need to know. This could mean that the way that they're giving prompts to help them learn and the different worksheets or videos or whatever they're engaging in to learn this information, that it is presented in a way that they only get the correct answer. And at first this might seem like a cheating way to learn the information where you're only presenting the right thing and it's just too easy for the students. But in the long run, it's better because you're not having to go back and reteach the students and help them learn a new way because they have taught themselves an incorrect way. So you're essentially doing less work, and it's beneficial for everyone. It's beneficial for the students, it's beneficial for the teachers and any aides that they have, because they're only having to learn this, hopefully, just one way. Another thing that helps students that have ADHD is organization. This is a really simple thing, but if the students are able to stay organized and they know what they need to do, they know where in the classroom to find their next assignment, they know where in their notebook that they're looking, and if things are just easy to find, color coordinated, and straightforward, then it's a lot easier for a child with ADHD to stay on task because they're not getting frustrated with themselves and with others because they don't know what's next and they just have to wait around. Organization is a simple thing and it's easy to do, but it really does make a huge difference with children that have ADHD. Lastly, an effective class-wide intervention is goal setting. It really helps all students, and especially students with ADHD, to stay on track by setting goals, by having something to reach for, having high expectations of themselves, and knowing that the ADHD isn't something that has to hold them back, that they can use their energy and they can use the desire to move from one thing to the next thing in a positive way. And that setting a goal, whether it's reading this far in their book by the quarter hour or finishing all their schoolwork and being able to study for their next test, or accomplishing their goal for the day so they get the reward so they can move on to the next goal. And the goal setting can go really well with organization. They can see clearly what their next goal is and have it all laid out and organized for them. And then it's easier for us as the teachers knowing that, okay, this student has everything they need set out. So you don't have to spend time finding things for them and reorganizing what they need to do next when there's other problems that would be better to focus on, such as what in that category that they're struggling with, as opposed to they're done early, what can occupy them. And here are a few of the sources that I looked at for this information. There are far more sources out there as well. These are just a few of the key ones that I looked at. Yeah, that's my presentation on ADHD.